Hi, it's Nell with Joy's Garden, and I'm mixing up some soil in here. Going to be planting the Aeonium cuttings. I cut my Aeonium completely back, so just getting the blend all ready, and we're going to do some planting, so stick around for that. And by the way, I do videos all about gardening, both indoors and outdoors, so be sure to check them out along with all the blog posts that go along with them. And we also do a lot of blog posts that don't have videos, so check out those too. But I just want to say about this mix I am blending up here, which I'll tell you more about. It is one that I use for my larger succulents outdoors. If I was planting succulents indoors, I'd use straight succulent and cactus mix. But because I live in Tucson, Arizona, the summers are oftentimes 110, and I don't want to be watering all the time. So this just helps me out, and we don't get a ton of rain in the winter, so there's not a lot of chance of them rotting out. So on to the soil mix. So a large component of this mix is probably about, a third to a half potting soil. I use Happy Frog or Ocean Forest. They're both by Fox Farm. It's my preferred potting soil, so that's what the major component is. And then I also have some perlite in here. I love not perlite. I don't like perlite nearly as much. I only use perlite for seed and for seedlings, but I use, pumice. It's nice and chunky, adds in the drainage because I do want this plant to not totally dry out, but I also want it to be really, really, really draining extremely well. And I've got these clay pebbles here. They're very light. Most of this stuff is in our Amazon shop on Joy's Garden, but I'll also leave the links down below. But I also use this as a top dressing too on some of my cactus pots. And then I also have coco coir, which is similar to peat moss, but it's much more environmental. It's very light. Woo! That's in there. And then we have some cocoa chips here. They're nice and chunky, also add in the drainage. And down below further, I mixed in quite a bit of this, is a blend from one of the farmers at the farmer's market. He does a blend of soil and a lot of compost and worm compost, so I mix it in further on down. This is what I will compost with, along with worm compost in the spring, but I'm not going to do that now. And I think that is it. The components, I just mix it up really well in the pot. When I'm doing individual smaller succulents, I'm sure you've seen me mix it up in my bin, but I mixed it here. And I also put the soil in, which I usually don't. I don't for succulents indoors, but outdoors, it's a different story here. Okay, so I have this just about mixed up, all nice and ready to go. That's what the lady gardener is good for. This little, I have like 3 different kinds of shovels. This one is great for working in pots, just getting this good and blended up. It has a nice big old drain hole in the bottom, so it can just drain on out. And a little bit about this plant is I brought it from Santa Barbara. It's not the ideal plant here. So in the summer, it really gets affected by the heat, and it just got way too big. This is Aeonium Arboreum. It can get up to 4 to 5 feet. So it was all like, You'll have to watch the video just before this where I cut it all the way back. So I gave away a whole box of cuttings, and I have a few here I saved to plant in here. So it grows in full shade, bright shade, because I don't want it to get too much sun. I would prefer to have the pot more over there, but it would catch some morning sun, and I don't want that, so it's going to grow right here. So let's get on to planting the cuttings. Oh, no, first of all, I'm going to show you the cuttings so you can see what they look like, because they've been healing over for 2 weeks now. And here are some of the cuttings here. This is what they look like after 2 weeks of healing over. I've had them in the house. Today is Friday the 13th of October, and it's still hot here. We're in the 90s, so I didn't want to leave these outside. But this is one that broke off in early August. I just want to show you this one. And it was just laying inside of the plant, and I just, left it there. So, but this is fine to plant. I'm not sure if I'm gonna plant it or not. I might give this away, but it will come back. That's just what I want to. That's just what I want to tell you. And what healing off is, it just means you cut the stem and it heals over here like a scab, so that because succulents are prone to overwatering and too much water, so I'll always heal them off before I plant them. And I wanted to get them planted now and not too much later than this, because into early December we can dip into the 40s, like end of December, maybe into the high 20s, so I just want them to get settled in here. And if we have a particularly cold, winter, it's not cold in the days, but in the nights, I'll just throw a sheet over here and they'll be just fine. So the mix is nice and light. I'm gonna plant them fairly close because this plant gets so big. It's very heavy here too, so I'm going to anchor them down into the soil a bit so that they'll stand up. And let's go. Here we go. Here's one here. You just kind of have to dig it down. And I plant these lower than I would some other succulents just because they're so heavy up here. So, and then after I get through getting the cuttings in here, I'll just go through and I'll adjust the heads to see if they're all, facing the way I want them to. And this one is going to break off here, so I'm just going to take it off. That's what happens, when they get really dry. Just kind of pat them in a bit, and then you can kind of push it down a little bit, because when the stems get to be this big, they're really sturdy. Now we got this one here. Okay, so I stepped back and I looked at it. I don't think I'm going to get those in because, as I said, this plant gets enormous. So I think I'll put this one back here. And then I have a few small ones I'm just going to kind of fill in around the front. And that is going to be it. And as this plant grows, I think I'm going to take some of the side branches off because those are what break, or I'll cut the big heads off just because it gets so dry and brittle here. And in Santa Barbara, it wasn't a problem because it was nowhere near as hot and sunny as it is here. So I didn't have this issue at all. So anyway, there we go. They are sweet little rosette plants. I just love Aeoniums. All right, so here it is, done here. It looks a little sparse now, but believe me, it'll get full. And I have these two that I'm not going to use, so I have to find someone to take those. But this plant gave away a lot of cuttings, that is for sure. So I'm not going to compost it now because there are no roots. And we are going into the winter at some point, even though we're very warm here. So I will compost it probably at the end of February when we start to warm up. And it will be as happy as can be here. So what I'm going to do, don't cut, a new segment. So I'm going to let these settle in as is for probably about 5 to 7 days. and then I will give this plant a watering. And because it is in full shade now, our evenings are a bit cooler. I'll probably only water it every 2 weeks maybe. When the winter time comes, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks. So that's why I put more potting soil in here, so I don't have to water it as often. But I am going to have to water it a little more often because, as you saw, there are no roots, and the cuttings probably only come down to here. They aren't all the way down there. So I will, as I said, water it probably every 2 weeks until we start to get cooler. So be sure to watch the video of me cutting this all the way back so you can see the size of this plant, and be sure to come back for more gardening videos outdoors and indoors. I do a lot with houseplants. I thank you so much for watching. I thank you for all your likes. I really appreciate them, and your comments. And subscribe if you would like to be notified of the videos. But anyway, it's Friday, time to kick back. But I do want to say one thing before I leave. Let's get out in the garden and make our worlds a more beautiful place. I've also done a lot of videos and blog posts on other kinds of succulents, indoors and outdoors, so check those out too. Thank you for watching. Happy fall. Bye.